Hello, Hoosier fans, Hoosier haters, and everyone in between. This is the Crimson Coliseum podcast. And today's second episode of this doubleheader, I've brought a new member, finally someone that's not from the trombones or saxophone section, or maybe in low brass, junior trumpet from Paoli, Indiana, Haley Cox. So, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's a great week. I'm really excited for this game.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. So, this is the first, this is probably the first, well, second road game that we've done that we've played in the halftime show for. Because we didn't do it for Purdue, but we did it for the um, Louisville game last year. Which,
Right, yeah. Kind of a
but
little halvesies
yeah,
deal.
but this game is the first game of the college football playoff. It's the first game of the 12-team format, and it's the first game in Indiana history where they're going into the college football playoff. They are the 10th seed right now and the eighth ranked team in the country, heading 200 miles up north to South Bend, Indiana, to play the seventh seed, fifth ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame's a 7 point favorite, and they are 51.5 point favorites. And before we really get into it, what show are you guys going to be doing?
Yeah, so if I remember right, we're gonna be replaying some of our Strange Indiana show with Hawkins, and then we're replaying Kokomo as well.
This is the third time you guys will be playing Kokomo this year.
Hey, listen, it's a hit. What can I say?
It is a hit, and the Red Steppers like it enough.
Yeah, whatever the Red Steppers want. They're really
Yeah,
good at what they do.
whatever the Red Steppers want, they just get it at this point. Uh,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
sticking with the 100 thing real quick, what has been your favorite show to play, honestly?
Ooh, there are so many good ones this year. I can't say enough how much I did like Hawkins with that spider web drill. That's a really cool follow the leader. Sometimes you get into the follow the leaders and they're a little awkward. I feel like this one flow had a really nice flow off the bat. It was really easy to learn. I like the fast pace of it. It was top 10. I really like the Strange Indiana show overall. We had a lot of good hits.
I think my favorite to watch was Hoist the Colors. It was the one I was most excited about. I loved the trombone section, the low brass section in Hoist the Colors, and I've been screaming to the high heavens. When the defense gets on the field, we need to have an arrangement of the tag of hoist the yo ho all hands hoist the colors high.
Yeah, that would be really funny.
Yeah,
I
like
think
just
that could be powerful.
sousaphones blasting it and the trombones, uh, trombones, tenor tones, trumpets finally playing low in the register for the first time in history.
I know. I know the first trumpets hated that.
That's gotta suck. All right, back on track. So for Notre Dame's history, they were founded in 1842. That's really old. First football season was 1899. Record is 882, 324, and 33. Their bowl record is 21 and 18. Record against Indiana is 23 5 and 1. They play in Notre Dame Stadium. Their last matchup against the Hoosiers was 1991. And they really have not played them a whole heck of a lot just by which is kind of odd considering um the fact that it's two interstate teams, and this is the second time the Hoosiers and the Irish have faced off against each other since 1958. That's how long it's been, really, since, and we haven't beaten Notre Dame since 1950.
Hey, I mean, you know, they've chosen to ally and fight against Purdue for most of it. So I think they're just scared.
And we have only won at Notre Dame once.
Yeah, well, you know what they say. It's a different year. I think we have good chances. We definitely don't look like the Indianas of years past. So I think that's
Thank
one
you,
good thing to
Lord.
take into account here.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. So I'm gonna go a little bit off the beaten path of what I usually do. I'll talk about Indiana, and you can talk about the Notre Dame stats. Um, Only because I haven't got to do that all year. And two, it just to get like a good vibe of what this one, because usually I do rankings based off of the Big Ten, but this time it's not a Big Ten opponent. It's not even a other conference opponent because this is not even a team in a conference. Cowards. But their last matchup, well, they finished the season 11-1. Their last matchup was a 49 to 35 win at USC, where they had two pick sixes. It was great for them. But I'm gonna go with the Indiana stats first. Um, Offensively, they averaged 43.3 points, which is first among the 12 playoff teams and second in ranking in the NCAA. 438.8 yards, which is eighth in the playoff and 24th in the country. 265.2 passing and 173.6 rushing. Sixth in the playoff, sixth and eighth in the playoff respectively, and 29th and 51st in the playoff, which is something will be interesting with the rushing offense. Third down percentage, 48.5, which I think is third in both. And then third down attempts, 132, which is second least in both. Defensively, averaging 14.5 points, fifth in the playoffs, sixth overall. Yards, 244.8 yards allowed, which is second in both. Passing, 174, and rushing at about 71. Fourth in the playoff and ninth overall in passing, and first overall in both in rushing. Third down percentage is 31%, which is fourth in the playoff, eighth overall. And third down attempts, 155, eighth in the playoff, eighth most in the playoff, and then 41st in the country. So with Indiana, a lot of stuff is super high up, only one that's sub 50th, which is rushing. But they face a lot of high powered rushing offenses. Not, well, high powered rushing defenses in the Big Ten because it's ground and pound smash mouth football. We run the
Yeah.
football. Even when we shouldn't, we run the football. Ohio State.
Hey, maybe one of these times it'll work.
One of these times we could run it up the middle. It'll work.
Yeah, a
But
little historical.
a little historical. All right. You're up next.
Yeah, getting into the Notre Dame. Offensively, they score about 39.8 points. That's second in the playoff, third overall. For yards, they're 421.3, which is 11th in the playoffs, 40th overall. With passing, you get 196.4, which is 12th and 101st respectively. And rushing will be 224.8, which is third in the playoffs, 10th overall. Third down percentage is 37.9, which is last in the playoffs. And is that 12th overall as well?
Probably not. I think uh, that's red zone. It's not gonna show me. Ah, dang NCAA. Fix your website. I could probably do a quick check on ESPN. I'll get right back with you.
All right. Moving on a little bit, we've got third down attempts. They rank in 129, which is the least both in the playoffs and respectively. So we've got an interesting third down attempts over here with the least and the second least. Defensively, they've got about 13.6 points, which is third overall and also third in the playoffs. With yards, defensively is 296.8, which is sixth overall, or sixth in the playoffs, my bad, and ninth overall, with 157.9 passing, which is third, and 138.8 defense with rushing, which is 11th and 51st. For third down percentage, there's 30.6, 30.6%, which is third in the playoffs and seventh overall. And for third down attempts, it's 170, which is fifth most and 21st overall.
I can't find it because of NCAA not fixing their friggin' uh D1 Sportsnet. Come on, give me something here.
They can't make anything easy.
No, they can't. Yeah, it's messed up. I know it's low. It's low-ish for Notre Dame. In Indiana, it's pretty well up. It's like in like the 15 to 10 to 15, 10 to 20 range for Indiana offensively.
Yeah, what matters most right now is that 12. So
Yeah.
I think it's okay that we don't have the second number.
Yeah. So for player stats, I mean, for Indiana, you know how it is. It's Curtis Pork action. 202 and 287, 70.4% completion percentage, 2,827 yards, 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, along with 24 rushes for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns, but has lost 134 yards on 17 sacks. Something that's a little concerning, and we'll get to that later. Rushing the ball wise, you got a healthy dose of Justice Ellison and Tyson Lawton. Ellison, 148 carries, 811 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Lawton, 131 carries, 634 yards, and 12 touchdowns. I think the only team in the FBS that has multiple running backs with 10 plus touchdowns, unless Notre Dame has it. I'm going crazy. No, Riley Leonard steals
Doesn't
all of
look
them.
like it.
Riley Leonard steals all the rushing touchdowns. Receiving wise, we got Waffle House, Elijah Surratt, 49 receptions, 890 yards, and 8 touchdowns. And then Omar Cooper Jr., 27 receptions, 571 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And that receiving room is going to need a little bit once the season's over, get some help. But right now, it's looking great. Defensively, Aiden Fisher, 108 tackles, 44 solo, a sack and a half, 4 tackles for loss, and 4 passes defended. And probably 2 that should have been interceptions, but slipped out of his fingertips.
Mm.
Then Mikael Kamara, 44 tackles, 19 solo, 10 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, 1 pass defended, 2 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. Pass defense, D'Angelo Pons, 53 tackles, 35 solo, 4.5 tackles for loss, 9 passes defended, 2 interceptions, and 1 touchdown. And then Amari Farrell, 42 tackles, 20 solo, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass defended, and 4 interceptions. And for some awards to some of these guys, obviously Curtis Rourke finished top 10 in Heisman voting, including two first place ballots, which interesting. Good for him, honestly. Mikael Kamara got third team All American. D'Angelo Pons and Aiden Fisher got on some different All American lists. Um, Surratt got on the All Big Ten team. Surprised Amari Farrell didn't get on All Big Ten teams, but he played really well in that rover and then moved out to safety.
Oh yeah.
Now let's see the opponents, the Irish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta get what you expect. Riley Leonard, their new quarterback, is 194 for 293 for 66.2%, threw for 2,092 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. He loves to take off with the ball, 112 rushes for 786 yards and 14 touchdowns, and he's lost 65 yards on 12 sacks, which is not a terrible number, but
Yeah,
not great either.
he's
On the
scrambling.
true
He's
rushing
scrambling.
side, he is on the move. That is definitely going to be something the IU defense does have to keep an eye on. Getting into the more rushing, where it's not Riley taking off with it, you've got Jeremiah Love, 134 carries, just shy of 1,000 yards with 949. He's got 15 touchdowns. On the receiving side, he's got 22 receptions for 206 yards and another 2 touchdowns. You got Jadarian Price with 89 carries for 651 yards and 7 touchdowns. Pretty solid rushing room for Notre Dame as well. It'll be interesting to see who can take off there.
Mhm.
Receiving though, you've got Bo Collins, 34 receptions, 427 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jaden Greathouse with 26 receptions, 345 yards and 1 touchdown. I think that's a pretty stacked offense.
Honestly, what I find
Right.
interesting, Omar Cooper has 1 more reception than Jaden Greathouse, but has over 200 more receiving yards and 5 more touchdowns.
Hey, yeah. I mean,
It's
it
just
looks
yeah,
like it looks like they like to run the ball when they get down in the red zone. I think they're
yeah,
not one to let it fly too much down there.
yeah. It's just a bunch of yak guys, you know.
Yeah.
It just like with it, yeah. I think I know we have like a lot of good. Um, so. I've tried to let's. I'm gonna see here if like players of a certain. I kind of wish you can. So, huh? Oh, the EJ Williams only has two. Uh, is it Kobe? I know both Omar Cooper. Yeah, Omar Cooper. Oh, it technically does. Okay, so that's weird. ESPN's weird with that. So Omar Cooper is sixth in the country if you like it's like over 20 plus receptions with yards per reception at 21.1. And then where I know he has a Elijah Surratt is 26th in the country at 18.2. So we're not top 25 in both with our top guys in yards per reception. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing that they maximize is getting deep downfield and getting extra yards. Yeah, let's go in the
Oh, for
defense real fast.
sure.
Sorry. Oh, come
All
on.
right. Yeah, no worries. On the defensive end with tackling, we've got Jack Kaiser, which with 64 tackles, 37 solos, 37 solo, one sack, three tackles for loss, one pass defended, one forced fumble, and two fumble recoveries. Then you've got Riley Mills with 35 tackles, 17 solo, six and a half sacks, and eight tackles for loss. On the passing defense, we've got Xavier Watts with 39 tackles, 30 years solo, one tackle for loss, nine passes defended, five interceptions, one touchdown, one forced fumble, and one fumble recovery. And Christian Gray, who has 26 tackles, 19 of them are solo, three tackles for loss, eight passes defended, two interceptions, one touchdown, and one forced fumble. Got a very solid pass defense going on with those two guys.
It's concerning. It's concerning. Do you want to talk first about some notes you got?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, when I was looking at this, you've got two great guys up on your offensive side with Riley Leonard, who has a pretty solid arm, but also has the threat of taking off and running out of the pocket anytime you give him enough room. 786 yards is not small change by any means. And even if you keep him in the pocket, you've got Jeremiah Love on the rushing end who he can throw the ball out to 949 yards, but he's also a threat on the receiving end too with 206 yards and two touchdowns. I think that they have a very solid matchup with those two guys in the backfield, but you also don't want to let your eyes off of those guys further downfield with Bo Collins and them. I think that there are some solid weapons that Notre Dame has that IU's defense is going to have to keep a good eye on.
I was watching I think it was the PFF college football show that on YouTube they were talking about this game. IU I think runs the fourth most cover three in the country, and Riley Leonard's like around average to like as like a 65 grade, a 65 like a point grade I think out of 100 on cover three. He's much more comfortable in man to man play. Like zone is like not so something that he doesn't really is not comfortable with. So it'll be interesting to see what Brian Haynes does. You can't
For
really go
sure.
man to man against this team. You can't with how
Yeah,
well
they'll
they
eat that
run the
up.
football. With how well they run the football, you can't do that. And I think um, Terry Jones, our new rover, I
Yeah,
believe it's I think it's Terry Jones, right? Might be going crazy.
I believe
Uh,
you're right there.
Yeah, Terry, he's considered our nickel. They adjusted to be
Mm,
the nickel, not the rover, but and they moved Sean Asbury to strong safety.
right.
Well, not Sean Asbury, Amari Farrell to free safety. But Terry has been like has the most plays since he got to that the nickel position on the defensive line amongst any DB in the country. and he's like one of the better run stopping defensive backs in the country while he's been there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. It's like our linebackers plus Terry Jones and against that O line of Notre Dame. Um, and I was doing some extra research on this. In reality, what this is going to be is what is Notre Dame's rushing stats going to be? If it's between 150 and 175 rushing yards, it's going to be about neutral. No team has a real advantage. I think if it's higher than 175 rushing yards, Notre Dame has the clear advantage and they're probably going to win because they can slow the game down and they're dictating the pace. And in Notre Dame Stadium, no matter how many Hoosier fans are there, it's not going to help much. But if Indiana can hold them to under 150 rushing yards, Indiana has the advantage because if they're forced to throw, that means Mikhail Kamara's got his ears pinned back, James Carpenter, CJ West, Linnell Carr, Marcus Burris. They're starting to tee off on that O line, and that makes it easier for Indiana. And just toughest opponents with the run. Indiana's toughest opponent was Ohio State, who averages 169.2 yards, which was 53rd. They only gave up 115 rushing yards. Granted, they lost, but a lot of that was more special teams errors than than the defense. The defense played
Oh
outstanding
yeah,
that
for
game.
sure.
And then for Notre Dame, it's the game that everyone keeps talking about. It's Northern Illinois at 113.4 rushing yards allowed, which is 11th in the country. They ran for 123. And with the two picks that Riley Leonard had, they were going to lose. So they can't have those same mistakes they had against Northern Illinois show up here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, Definitely when looking at that Northern Illinois game, I know that I was sitting down and I was watching that, and it was just kind of astounding how Northern Illinois was able to take them apart. So I think that, and obviously we see Notre Dame throughout the rest of the season, they have played like they learned from that. I think that one thing that Indiana has to monitor is what did they learn from losing to Ohio State in that way? Um, that we've got to like lock down on special teams and make sure that none of those silly mistakes are happening. Otherwise, this could get way far out of hand.
Man, you just gotta hold it down. Like it's just gotta be good on that defensive
Yeah.
front. Flat out, it is. And I think here's an interesting a little tidbit. We're talking about the red zone. I think that is going to determine a lot too.
Oh, for sure.
Offensively, Indiana is 94% in the red zone, which is first among the playoff teams and third amongst the nation, with 62 scores and 66 attempts. Notre Dame, 83.7%, which is seventh and is tied for 74th in the country, 41 scores and 49 attempts. Defensively, Indiana allows 82.1% of scores in the red zone, 23 scores on 28 attempts. Notre Dame, 73.3%, which is third in the playoff and tied for ninth in the country, 22 scores on 30 attempts. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with because Indiana is just going to get to the red zone and they're probably going to punch
Yeah.
it in. Like they don't make many mistakes in the red zone.
Yeah. And I
And
mean, I
and
think that one thing that our coaching staff knows how to do is they aren't going to get stuck on one thing. If they realize running in the red zone isn't working how they need it to, they're going to put the ball in Curtis Rourke's hands and let him throw it. We have so many options that we can use that I don't think that we'll have a problem switching things up if we need to.
yeah, you just got to let Curtis cook. Let Curtis cook. Let him
Yeah.
cook. Don't just run the ball up the middle. Our favorite,
Uh,
one of our favorite marching band memes. But
oh
how
yeah.
excited for you to go up to Notre Dame, get to South Bend, and get in that stadium?
Oh, I love Notre Dame. It's a beautiful campus. I have gone up to South Bend. I've watched their women's basketball team. excellent players, you know. This time, it's less for Notre Dame, more to watch my team. So I think that makes it all the more exciting. Growing up, my dad is a massive Notre Dame fan, so I've kind of always paid a little bit more attention to Notre Dame than I would other football teams that, I don't have any personal connection to. So, it'll be nice watching two teams that I really love watching. And like I'm really excited to, see Touchdown Jesus in person. I think that's a really iconic football stadium figure. I think Notre Dame is just a great place to play.
Are you on Twitter?
Are you talking about the Touchdown Jesus doing IU thing? I love that. My dad hated it. I sent it to him a few days ago. I got ghosted. So
Did you see like the new thing they did? Someone did like they had like the cross in green, flipped it upside down and turned it into the IU trident.
no, I had not seen that. Oh my God, you need to send me that.
And like someone replied, "Of course, Indiana is has our fans are Satanists." And
Hey,
then the most
if the shoe fits.
in the most annoying freaking IU basketball fan, the freaking Indiana Hoosier fan 2.0 guy.
Ooh.
He was like, I know some of them. They definitely are. Because he was the one that had like the Dusty May and an IU sweater profile picture.
Oh yeah.
And he changed it
I,
to
I'm
Donald.
sure he does know some crazy people.
Yeah. Uh, but I assumed this is the culmination of the IU basketball civil war that is happening in this fan base. Because a good majority of them are Notre Dame football fans. And
Yeah, we're
whoever
really
wins
gonna
is going to
tackle the
be
reverse jackets. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
and whoever's going to win this game is going to be insufferable for the next few months.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I was saying, this is going to be the end all be all for the reverse jacket fans. You know, because what forever it's been Notre Dame for some of these fans, it's been Notre Dame football, Indiana basketball, and that's just how it is. But now that Indiana's got a really solid football team, we're finally going to see what side their jacket maintains on for the most amount of time.
All I'm going to say is Breaking Away was a better movie than Rudy.
That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to stand by that.
And if you don't
There's
know what
there's a
Breaking
movie
Away
called
is,
Hoosiers.
if you
There's
don't know
not
what
a movie
Breaking,
called Fighting Irish.
yeah,
My
if you
bad.
don't know what Breaking Away is, it is a movie about the Little 500. So it's infinitely
Very
better
solid.
because everyone is plastered, as is the Little 500 tradition. All right, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and YouTube channel platforms. I'm gonna ask all the people, how are you feeling about this game? Well, actually, wait a minute. Before we end it, we didn't go about predictions. I totally forgot about that. I have 21-18 Indiana. What do you have?
I have 24-21 Indiana. I think it could either go this way or it could be a shootout. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. Steelers got to Super Bowl. All right, that'll be it for today. Thank you. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube channel platforms, and just enjoy the heck out of this game because whoever wins this game is going to be having to face Georgia. And if Indiana faces Georgia, oh no. Those
Yeah,
poor
that
Rourke. Poor Rourke.
yeah, and that's going to depend on if Carson Beck is back at all,
I
which
don't think
I
he'll
don't
be
think he's
back.
going to be.
All
So
right.
it'll be interesting to see their backup.
See ya.